Hi, Mitch Tenbaum here. Thanks for joining me today. This is the security news update. In the alerts department, kind of interesting, I guess, from a theoretical standpoint. London hospitals are in a supply chain attack crisis of their own making. They, and I don't know whether they're the messenger or the tip of the iceberg or what, but these two hospital chains partnered together with a medical testing company to do their own pathology and testing business. Not sure whether that was for efficiency or for profit, but in any case, that particular, what amounts to a third-party provider that they controlled got hit by a ransomware attack. They shut down their systems, and as a result, the hospitals don't have access to the pathology services that they use to run the hospital. So, it's a third-party attack. It's a little bit different in the sense that they control the third party because it's a joint venture that they built, but nonetheless, it's affecting them. And, one more time, supply chain is just, it is the thing these days that's coming to get you. And what would your company do if, it lost a key supplier? So with no advance notice. In the reference area, here is an article in the newsletter talking about, I talk about this all the time, the False Claims Act, which is a Civil War era law that the feds go after companies, and they recoup billions of dollars that the feds spend with these companies as a result of making claims, in particular at this point in the area of cybersecurity, that they're not actually doing. Recently, Aerojet Rocketdyne paid them $9 million for false statements about cybersecurity. Cisco paid them $10 million. There have been others, in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And there's two very public cases going on right now. One is UPenn and the other is Georgia Tech. Both of these are for basically falsifying their claims that they're compliant with cybersecurity regulations that they're supposed to comply with. The DOJ is reportedly, they're not admitting anything, working on a couple of dozen more cases. And if you sell anywhere into the federal government, this is something you need to pay attention to. If you are making claims, whatever those claims are, then you need to make sure that those claims are really the things that you're doing. In the software and hardware department, this is not directly, but it does affect you, not directly software you can use, but Google has announced support on Android for using rich text services to talk to 9/11 dispatchers, what they call public safety access points, or PSAPs. Key point here is that maybe half of the PSAPs actually can accept the text message right now, but they're using, Google is partnering with a third party, and the third party acts as an intermediary, so that if the 911 call center can't handle a rich text message, then they handle it, and so it gets dispatched. But the idea here is that you can send them videos, you can send them photos, obviously you get location data, all kinds of stuff, and they're going to start rolling that out this fall. And even Apple is getting into the rich text business. Of course, they have iMessage, but iMessage only works within Apple's walled garden. Europe is going after them and threatening to sue them for billions of dollars. And they said, oh, we're just kidding. We're going to allow rich text services. So hopefully soon, assuming they allow it in the United States, not just in Europe, where they're under threat of losing billions of dollars, you'll be able to send a rich text message to anybody, whether they're an Apple user or not. Next, and this is software, Apple is rolling out what Elon Musk is calling creepy spyware. Of course, he's in the business of making creepy spyware, so I guess that makes him an expert in talking about it. But they announced a partnership Apple did with OpenAI, and they're integrating their tools into the next version of iOS 18. Musk was, of course, one of the co-founders of OpenAI, and he's a tad bit unhappy, because he thinks that they should remain a nonprofit while he makes, billions and billions of dollars off of his AI. Seems a bit disingenuous. And it's reported now that he is going to drop his lawsuit against OpenAI after OpenAI published a bunch of emails from Musk, which showed that he was aware of what's going on. But anyway, if we ignore all that drama, they're adding, one of the things they're doing, which is kind of cool, is they're adding AI capabilities that run locally if you have a new enough phone, like an iPhone 15 or later, or a Mac with an M1 chip. because they need a neural processing unit. That's a new thing you're going to need for computers now. Look at whether that computer has an NPU, a neural processing unit. And then they're also going to give you the ability to go straight to OpenAI, but they're claiming, we haven't seen it yet because it hasn't been released, but they're claiming that you're going to have a lot of transparency in terms of when you're using one of these off-device capabilities versus when you're using a device that or capability that runs locally on the device. In the patches department, we got 2 this week. Zelle is releasing an emergency fix for their older end-of-life NASs. Sometimes vendors patch end-of-life devices, sometimes they don't. In this case, I think they realized that the reputation damage was too great to not patch this end-of-life device, so that's a patch, and it's a critical vulnerability. So if you have one of these older Zelle devices, you should definitely patch it. The other one is Microsoft. It's a zero-click Outlook vulnerability, which means it's going to be exploited very soon now. So if you haven't deployed your Microsoft patches this month, you absolutely need to do that for sure. And it allows hackers to bypass the block list and create new malicious DLLs, which is not good. And the preview pane is an attack vector, so it doesn't actually require you to do anything. The attack complexity, they say, is low. Microsoft rates it as important, but the researcher found it considers it critical since, they think that hackers will start using it given, it's easy to do and high win. So we shall see what happens there, but I think you should patch it. That sounds like one that definitely should be patched quickly. In the legislative and legal department, we got privacy requests. As privacy requests go into effect across the country, people are making use of it, and they're not going after the corner drugstore or the local gas station or whatever. They're going after these big tech firms, I think. And it's costing these companies about $1,500 each to process one data access or data deletion request. And the number of requests that they're seeing is up from 248 requests per million identities in 2021 to 859 requests per million identities in 2023. So that's almost 250% increase. So, you, depending on, what your industry is and what kind of data you keep and what kind of relationship you have with your users, you might be seeing a lot of these. Also in the legal department, Vermont Legislature passed what would have been one of the toughest, most stringent privacy bills in the country, but the governor vetoed it because he didn't want to give Vermont citizens the right to sue companies for violating their privacy rights. I don't know if he's up for re-election. That doesn't necessarily act as a really good reason to go re-elect him, but maybe. The veto passed the State House 139-3. I'm sorry, the original bill passed the State House 139-3. So it's definitely in veto override territory. So we shall see whether they override it or not. In the education department, I mentioned this a minute ago about NPUs, neural processing units. Time to learn about that. And tools like Microsoft Recall and other tools are going to require NPUs. Some computers have NPUs inside of their GPUs, too many acronyms. But for the higher end requirement, you want a separate NPU. So you got to understand what it is you're trying to do, what software you're trying to run, whether it takes advantage of NPUs, whether it'll run without one. And, based on all that, decide what your next generation of computers are going to be. Obviously, if you need help with that, then, holler. Next, also in education, the NSA released their mobile devices best practice, kind of one-page graphic. It's kind of cool. You may or may not adopt all those things, but it's good to know here. Or actually, it's 2 pages, not 1 page. Sorry, it's 1 paper, 2 sides. If you pick the ones which are doable for you and ignore the ones that are not. Do all of them. It's kind of what's your risk tolerance. Also in breaches, the Snowflake breach, which everybody's been talking about for a while. This is the breach that breached 560 million Ticketmaster users, 30 million Santander Bank users, but plus also, more than 100 other companies. Snowflake said it's not their fault, and, it appears that it's not them. What it appears is that, their users, for whatever reason, don't understand and appreciate security, and either they get their credentials compromised, they don't change them, they don't use two-factor authentication. A lot of different reasons, but this appears to be a case of bad cyber hygiene. But that's going to cost Ticketmaster hundreds of millions of dollars as a result of the lawsuits that have already and will be filed against them. And we'll see how many other companies fess up to it before their data goes public. And next, the city of Cleveland shut down systems and also City Hall as they try to understand what they're calling a cyber incident. You don't want to call it a cyber attack because, well, maybe we were wrong. Well, they weren't wrong. But anyway, that's what they're saying. I don't know whether they're really clueless or not, but, I suspect they're more about trying to manage their image in an election year. They did say that emergency services are still working. But beyond that, all internal systems and software platforms are shut down until further notice, which means that you can't get any government services for which you're paying your taxes. And I don't think they're going to give you a tax refund for that. Politicians don't like spending money on security for a variety of different reasons. But on the other hand, not providing government services again in an election year, I'm not sure if that's the best way to get reelected. Some people might cheer, but they're going to want their tax money back if they don't get any services. Those people. Other people will certainly be upset. Next, pretty much anything that is available online is likely fair game for being used for AI training. Meta just got in trouble with our dear friend in Europe, Max Schrems, the protagonist behind Schrems 1 and Schrems 2 decisions. In the case of Meta, that even includes private data. And kind of an update to this beyond what's in the newsletter, they got a notice from the UK and Irish data protection commissioners saying, I want to put that on hold and rethink that. So I think they're going to do that. Speaking of Microsoft bowing to pressure, Microsoft Recall, which is their new AI privacy nightmare, they tried to spin the facts that it was not a privacy nightmare. Nobody believed that. And, they first turned it off by default, see if that would calm people down. It didn't. So they put it on hold, trying to figure out how to respin this so that they don't get crucified over it. But right now, for the moment, it's off the table. Next, Microsoft did not patch a bug for 4 or 5 years, I think. One of their most prominent internal bug hunters just turned whistleblower because Microsoft is being dumb, in light of the House Homeland Security Committee hearing where Brad Smith testified and said, me bad. And the couple of days before that, this whistleblower was the source of an article in ProPublica, which really puts Microsoft in a really bad light, saying, he tried to tell them for 4 years to fix the damn hole and they wouldn't do it. It's part of the reasons why the SolarWinds attack happened. It's just, and this is really an industry thing, right? Because I don't blame Microsoft solely. I think this is, everybody is at fault with all this stuff. They're looking for the next bright, shiny object to do a sales pitch on and not say, well, gee, we patched a bunch of holes where, we didn't do things right in the first place and we had to come back and clean up the mess. That doesn't sell new products, but here's this bright, shiny new feature. Surely you want to buy some more of our software. So anyway, that cat is now out of the bag. And in the security news for the week, Trump is now telling donors that, particularly crypto execs, that if you obviously donate to him and he wins, then he won't regulate or he'll deregulate crypto. Not sure. He used to call crypto this huge scam, which I think it is. But if he thinks he can get votes for it, he'll say whatever it is he thinks will get him votes. So now he's saying he's not going to regulate crypto. Of course, that doesn't mean he won't, but it just means he's saying that. The Marsh insurance company says the volume of cyber incident claims hit a record in 2023. The FTC fired a shot across the bow to connected car makers over privacy. And artists, interestingly enough, are fighting back against the AI theft of their work. As I said, nothing is safe online. And so these guys have started up their own kind of social media platform for art. And, the artists are controlling it and they're not selling the data to make a mint and they're not using it to run AI. So they're making it more difficult for the platforms They want to steal your intellectual property to steal it. So we shall see if they succeed. Right now, they need a lot of money to go run it because I forget what the numbers are, but they went from like 5,000 users to 600,000 users in a matter of a week or two. So that obviously represents a significant computing load for them. So we'll see whether that works, but it's a great story. For any of these items, if you need help from us, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to talk to you. And until next time, stay safe.
Thank you for watching. For more information or to purchase this or any other of our board or executive services, visit us at cybersecurity.com. Call us at 303-887-5864 or email us at rh@cybersecurity.com. Goodbye.